our dear hosts, the gallant conveners of this very, very important summit, and fellow delegates. Allow me to bring love and greetings from Uganda, and from Christian Aid, where I work, and from the international network of religious leaders living with or personally affected by HIV, which our moderator has summarized as INRERA. We want to thank you that you have really found it important and kindly invited us to be members and participate in this very, very crucial summit for the national and global responses to HIV/AIDS. May I request members and leaders of INRERA who would be here to kindly stand up for recognition so that people can know you and invite you whenever they want to engage with you in discussion. Those religious leaders living with or personally affected by HIV and AIDS who could be in our midst, stand up for recognition. Give them a big clap. Yes. You know, standing up against stigma and discrimination has not been easy when you are religious, especially when you are a religious leader. What is the nature of this critical moment in the global challenge to respond effectively to HIV? I knew I had little time, so what I did was to summarize all my thoughts about that critical point in this booklet. And it's on your table, and when you get time, just read it. So my 5 to 7 minutes here will be to summarize what I think should be coming out of this summit. Page 2 on that booklet summarizes the challenge as His Excellency Sidibe has just mentioned to us, that we are dealing with an epidemic that has 4 digits, 7,400 newly infected every day. 5,500 dying every day. So what is the critical nature of the challenge? The challenge is to bring the 4 digits to 2 digits, so that instead of 7,400, it becomes maybe 400. But also that's not enough. We need to move from 4 digits to 3 digits, then to 2 digits, then to 1 digit. And then finally, when we come back on this very hot, celebrate and do the champagne and wines, when we have 0 digits. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Why? Because of 3 things. 1, HIV is preventable. We have the science, we have the knowledge, and we have the infrastructure to do it. We are very powerful communicators. We have captive audiences. We have a tradition and mandate of care and compassion. We have been doing these things for centuries. And if you have an infection whose means of prevention you know, we are not just beating about the bush. We know this is how it is transmitted. This is how it's prevented. So, Mr. Moderator, we can defeat this virus from entering our bodies. But even for the virus that has already entered our body, we now know 2 things: that AIDS can be managed, and you live long enough to do everything possible to sustain your economy, look after your family, and so forth. You know, I tested positive in 1992, and the doctors thought that I would live only for 6 months. Now this is 2010, and I don't look like I'm dying tomorrow. You know, when I was getting remarried in 1995, the religious leaders said, "No, we can't wed you because we don't want to be party of a wedding that is going to be happening today, and next week it is not there. They thought I would die very quickly. They didn't know that God was already in the process of giving us the miracles of medicine, of science to manage. We now have even the third point. My dear friend Sidibe, you are worried about prevention of mother-child. The science is clear. What is remaining is the will and commitment. That we religious leaders from this room, we come out here saying it is sinful. It's not just bad, it's also sinful that a baby should pick the virus from another mother at a time when we have the science and the knowledge and the means to prevent that. So that's a big challenge. The second challenge is probably for me to find the right language, the right message, and the right package, or maybe call it a strategy for having AIDS-competent churches, mosques, and temples, and communities and nations. Let me tell you, in the biggest strength we had in the last 30 years of dealing with AIDS, we had a very strong weapon of fighting AIDS. We discovered that there is a way you can communicate to people in your church or in your mosque so that they are AIDS competent. So you tell them, if you want to escape HIV from sex, what you do, you abstain. And you can also be mutually faithful to your loved one. Or you can use condoms in a situation where both of you are positive, or one of you is positive, or you are HIV cell status blind. You don't know the status. You can do that. So we got that message, and it worked. In Uganda, at least, it helped us a lot. But the biggest challenge, Mr. Moderator, if you have a message for the individual, do we have a message for a community? Do we have a message? If I went to the council of the imams, would I tell them, please abstain, please be very faithful? If I went to the council of cardinals meeting in Rome, what would I tell them? If the UN gave us 5 minutes as religious leaders to present our case, should we say, presidents abstain, be faithful? We don't have a message that can bring AIDS competency at a level of community and national level. An AIDS message that can help people see that stigma and discrimination and shame and denial must be fought. And our contribution from this summit could be to give the world that message, which I have summarized for you again on page 2, that with 5 people newly infected for every 2 starting treatment, we have to break the trajectory of the epidemic by working to reduce SIDM, multiply, save, and defeat AIDS.